at the back post. Taylor's in there as well, and Edwards! Rob Edwards, with just his second goal of the season, gives Exeter the lead.
Welcome once again to Kellow's Bootlaces, third programme already, Kirky. Where's the season going?
Oh, it's flying. I'm still not branded up, am I?
No, you don't get that memo, do you?
Yeah, he only sends them to you, I think.
Yeah, you've just got to go to the club shop, speak to the man in there, Alan.
Yeah.
And
is that Big Al? Is that Scottish?
Big Al. Came to Wembley with us in the car,
he
didn't he?
Right, and he'll sort me out.
He'll sort you out.
Very smart, very nice.
And then we'll look,
we'll look branded.
So we know what we're doing. Anyway, it's Cup Week at the Park this week. We've got the Under-23 Premier League Cup on Thursday night. So we'll speak to head coach Dan Green, who's going to come and join us in the studio.
That'd be good.
Looking forward to getting to know Dan a bit more and find out a bit more about his role. And on Saturday, it's a return of the Emirates FA Cup at the Park when the visitors will be Blackpool. Love the FA Cup, Kirky.
No one loves the FA Cup more than you.
That's correct. That is correct. Really looking forward to that game here at the Park. And we're catching up with a City legend on this month's show as well, who took part in probably our most famous cup run of all time when we went all the way to the quarterfinals in 1981 against Spurs. And you're amazed that I know that.
I am amazed that you. How do you know that? That's impressive. You've done your homework. Well done.
Cool. And we're going to have a little look at the opening of the new Stagecoach Adam Stansfield stand. You've been busy this month, Kirky.
I've been earning that. I've not had time to go to the club shops.
Too many features for Kellows while I've been away gallivanting, so fair play to you. So I look forward to that as well. Let's start though, just looking at the league form, Kirky, because it has tailed off a bit over the last few weeks, isn't it? Cause for concern, or is injuries the reason? What would you put it down to?
Definitely injuries the reason. I think it's the last 4 games. What is a bit of a worry. I think the last 3 games, particularly Crawley, Forest Green, Saturday at Tranmere, we kind of haven't really controlled any part of that game for long periods. That's a little bit of a worry. That said, look at the injury list. Hiram, John Fort didn't play. Troy's obviously out. Christie was out. And someone, Lee Holmes, hasn't played as well. So, you have to make allowances for that. Chance for the young guys to come in. Also, 3 of those 4 games were away. Long journey. So my hope is that we just hang on in there, pick up some points. When the players come back, go again. But, thankfully the boys have done so well, haven't they, to start the season. So to get to 29 points, everybody's bunching up now a little bit, aren't they? So, and I think the FA Cup's come at a good time.
Yeah, I think you're right. It'll give us a little bit of break from that league action. And it is crucial, actually, the way that we are staying up there, isn't it? Because, we haven't picked up that many points over the last few weeks, but others have dropped as well.
Yeah.
So we're still there or thereabouts. And as we always say, let's get Christmas out of the way before we start worrying too much about the league table.
It's always this time. When the clocks change, we always get injuries.
Cool. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the FA Cup later on because it is FA Cup week here at the Park, but it's also the Premier League Under-23 Cup this week as well, and it'll be good to catch up and know the thoughts of their head coach, Dan Green. So Dan, thanks for joining us on Kellow. It's great to have you here. Just perhaps you just tell us a little bit about your footballing journey, how you came to be at Exeter City in the first place.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of professional clubs, Exeter City is the only club that I've sort of been with, so it's been the bulk of my experience since being sort of 15 and playing, and then when it didn't quite work out in terms of playing with Exeter, I played semi-professional with teams like Truro and Dorchester, and all the meanwhile sort of in the background I've been doing my coaching, working with various age groups at the club, and now I'm coaching the under-23s.
So what position did you play in?
Central midfield.
Central midfield. Yeah. And was it a real wrench to have to give that side of it up, or was it a natural progression into coaching for you?
I mean, sort of when I gave up playing, I was maybe 25 at the time, and it was too good an opportunity to turn down. I think ultimately, like anyone, you want to be the best you can be at your job, and I sort of felt like at the time I'd probably reached my limit in terms of football at that age, and I didn't really have too much more time to put into it, and therefore coaching was going to be my passion and where I was going to really put everything into being as good as I could possibly be for the players that I was going to work with.
So who were the coaches that mentored you at the club when you were actually playing in the academy?
Well, Simon Hayward was really good to me. In terms of the academy manager, he gave me a really good start, and sort of gave me a lot of advice along the way. Steve Perryman was excellent with me. he calls it shop floor football, but it was the little things that experience sort of tells you, and just the nuances of the game that he was great with me. And then after that, really, in terms of coaches, I was very fortunate because the under-18s coaches that took the boys before me were Lee Skirm, who's with England now, Kev Nicholson, who went on to Cardiff, and then Kwame Ampadu, who's doing pretty well for himself now.
Not a bad set, is it?
No, so I was really fortunate, and they sort of guided me in different ways, but ultimately they all had the same common theme, where they were first and foremost great people, and they worked incredibly hard at their job.
You tend to look at football academies, and even in youth setups, you tend to see ex-pros come into that coaching field as perhaps their first step in. I think Exeter is quite unique in a way, because we've had a number of young coaches come through, and I'm sat here, you said 25 you gave up playing football. I thought you were about 18 now, compared to me. So to have that opportunity at such a young age is quite unique, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if you've been out to the training ground, you'll see that word sort of put across the academy building. I think opportunity is a real sort of key word for this club, and I think, like I say, I feel very fortunate to have been given the opportunities that I've been given. But I also know that we have every opportunity that's sort of come my way. I know how hard I've had to work to be ready for it, because ultimately, as a coach, if you're not prepared to work and not ready for that opportunity, it's not just you affect, it's the players you work with. So, I've always been very careful before I've taken any opportunities that have come my way.
And outside of Exeter City, coaching badges, you've worked towards those and done those?
Yeah, so again, when I was maybe only 20, I think I sort of did my UEFA B, and then you sort of take a little bit of time, you work on it, you put it into action. I've done my UEFA A licence, and then all my youth modules. I'm currently taking my Advanced Youth Award, which sort of helps you specialise in a phase, mine would be the 17s to 23s, where I'm working now.
Wow, he's qualified. This man's qualified. Brilliant. So, just to get things in order, I guess, under 18s, serving under Tiz. Matt was 23s. Yeah. Matt steps up. You get the opportunity to step up. So I guess you bit his hand off, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, again, like I sort of already said, I'm always very conscious to weigh up the pros and cons of any decision. So I actually, I wasn't straight away thinking definitely. What I'm thinking is, am I ready to be able to help those players maximise their development? And that goes for any player that you work with, because any player of any age wants to get better, and it's the coach's role to help them sort of fulfil and maximise that potential. So once I'd thought about it, once I'd sat down with Matt and we'd discussed how things would look and the players that I'd be working with, absolutely is a great opportunity.
And you work quite closely with Matt, because you're quite involved with the first team squad on match days as well. Yeah.
Again, it's a great position to be in, because ultimately my job is to help get the under 23s players first team ready, and what better way to know what first team ready looks like than to be involved with the first team. So definitely, again, any way that I can sort of help Matt, to help the players, I'm more than happy to help do so.
And as head coach of the under 23s, do you have a certain specialist area? Are you more midfield minded or attack minded, or do you have to have the overall picture of the whole team?
I don't think it's about necessarily having the overall picture of the team. I think it's about having the overall picture of each individual, because part of the under 23s would be Felix, the goalkeeper. So you've got to be as aware of what he needs as you would Ben Seymour, who's a striker. So I think the key thing is working with the players to give them the awareness of what they need to work on, then give them the opportunity to work on that, and then from there it's really down to the players.
And I'm guessing Matt has a bit of input, because he's always looking for the next ones to come through for the first team squad.
Absolutely. I mean, you really, as an under 23s coach, I couldn't ask for any more sort of support from the manager. He is fully involved with the young players, and again plays a huge part in their development, as he did with the likes of Jordan Story.
So you're in action this week, Thursday evening here at the Park. Norwich City. Obviously, we're all a little bit disappointed that Matt Gill's bottled it and moved to Ipswich, because we look forward to seeing him back at the Park. But what's your expectations ahead of Thursday?
Well, my expectations, as with any game in this competition, is that it's going to be a tough game. But I think that ultimately we have to test ourselves against these type of opposition, because again, come back to what's the aim of it. Yes, we want to win the game. Yes, we'd love to do well in the competition. Ultimately, it's about getting players first team ready. So the tougher the opponent, we hope the more first team ready our players are going to be, and the closer they'll be to playing in front of the big bank on a Saturday, not only a Thursday night against Norwich.
How do you prep for a game like that then? Do you have Norwich watched like the first team would have? Do you have inside info like that?
Well, we're able to get footage of people as they are of us. So we'll watch the opponent. We'll try and get a feel for what their strengths and their weaknesses are, and then we'll relay as much information as we think relevant to the players. You know, it's not about filling their minds with knowing everything, because sometimes a bit of instinct and a bit of habit is actually all the players need, but it's about giving enough to the right players so that we're aware of their strengths and weaknesses.
And how does it work in the build-up to a game like that, the Cat and Fiddle? Do you take your group of players away from the first team to work on things specifically, or does it just mingle in with the first team, the training stuff?
I'd say predominantly we're together. There'll be small parts of their week where we can break off and we'll give that sort of key information, but ultimately we'd like to think that the habits that we're working on, you know, with the first team and the under-23s sort of can, you know, go across different sort of formats and different opposition. So we'd like to think that whilst we're preparing for Blackpool on the weekend, you know, the young boys are also able to be ready on Thursday.
So almost like trying to keep the same formation of play between the two squads in a way.
Yeah, well, you'll have to see when you the formation.
You coaches never give anything away, do you?
No. But look, again, it's very different with the under-23s, isn't it? You know, as much as we want to keep it similar, there's going to be different personnel, and we'd always want to make sure that players are ultimately in their best positions to give themselves every chance of performing well.
We've enjoyed watching the under-23s over the last couple of seasons, and as ever, an encouragement to people watching to come on Thursday night and get behind the lads.
Yeah, again, I was sort of with Matt, Sunderland last year at home. It was the coldest day ever, and the fans still sort of turned up, and I think that was on a Sunday, and you know, that was a great game in this competition. I've had it in the past couple of years. I remember Wigan and MK Dons a couple of years ago in the FA Youth Cup. It was great for the boys, and it really does add to the experience for them, because, you know, again, we talk about getting them first team ready and helping players to be ready for the action on a Saturday. The fans are a massive part of that, and you know, being able to perform in front of the fans is a massive part of their development. So again, I've already said today that we'd love them to turn up and do what they do, because it's a massive plus for us.
And on a personal note, there's obviously been an influx of foreign coaches into our game over the last, well, probably 10, 15 years. Which sort of coaches do you admire? Which ones would you look up to and think, wow, that's where I'm aiming? I mean,
I think ultimately where you're aiming is just to be like the best version of yourself, because as much as I'd love to be like Guardiola one day, his experiences have shaped him, and my experiences will shape me. So in terms of coaches that I've worked with firsthand, I've already named the under-18s coaches that have gone on to other things, and they've been massive parts of my coaching development. I think, you know, I'd be naive to not have learnt from Tiz under his sort of years at the club, and obviously I'm learning sort of daily with Matt as well. But you know, there's lots of good coaches out there. I think ultimately you've got to be shaped by your experiences, and you've got to be adaptable for the players that you're working with.
Progression though, you must, you know, football moves really, really quickly. We see that all the time. You must have an aim. Obviously, you want to be the best that you can be, but ultimately your game, would it be to step up to management?
No, I don't see management as my sort of progression really. I would say I would like to be a coach that's able to be on the pitch as much as possible, and you know, management nowadays is a hell of a lot of stress and a lot of sort of off-pitch stuff that you have to deal with, and you know that I prefer to concentrate on what's going to impact the players the most in terms of the on-pitch work. And you know, again, we'll just see what happens. For now, you know, Exeter has given me a great opportunity, and it has done for the past sort of 8 years. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Dan, really appreciate you coming in. Thanks for your time. It's been fascinating to get to hear a bit more about your role, and we of course wish you well for Thursday.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Really balanced, Dan, isn't he?
I like him a lot.
Yeah,
he's just it's like policeman looking younger. Head coaches, I mean, he's a bit of a badge collector as well, isn't he? But
yeah, a couple of things really. I thought that was really interesting. You know, someone that young to switch from playing football into coaching and wanted to do that. You know, saw his role as a coach rather than as a player. That's unusual for someone that age, but he's got a great opportunity here. And you know, we mentioned in the piece, I think, you know, we had the likes of Kevin Nicholson and Lee Skirm and people like that who are all young coaches, have come through this club. So we give people opportunities, and Dan recognises and appreciates that.
Absolutely, and it was off air. We were talking, weren't we, about the likes of, was it Lewis Williams, wasn't it? Got a hat trick last week in the win against the Argyle. So he's been with him for a number of years, and young Jay Stansfield as well. So I think he's got a really good future. The other thing I thought was interested in, he's a coach and not a manager at the moment, isn't he? He likes to be out there, tracksuit, and it must be great for the players to see a coach at their age as well. Yeah. Rather than some old fossil. Yeah,
that's a good point. And he did state as well, didn't he, when I tried to push him on ambition, he doesn't see himself being a manager. No. He's quite happy being a coach, being involved with the players and leaving all that stressy paperwork and team selection and all that to someone else.
I think as well, you look at the leadership group of the club and you think, is my club in safe hands with these people? And that's a big thumbs up from me.
Wise head on young shoulders, I'd say. Excellent. Thanks for your time, Dan. Really appreciated that. And as we said to him and to everyone else, let's hope Thursday's a good night here at the park. Please come along and support the lads. Right, you will not have failed to notice, if you've been to the park over the last couple of weeks, the new Stagecoach Adam Stansfield stand is now open. Supporters have had the chance to view in behind. There was an official opening ceremony which Kirky went along to, and here's his little report.
Well, how excited am I today? It is this. It's the day that it's finally arrived. It's the opening of the Stagecoach Adam Stansfield stand, and I've somehow managed to plug myself an invite to this event. So here we go. Got the right day, just check. Stagecoach Adam Stansfield stand, here we go. First of all, of course, I need to get in. Just make sure we're not being knocked over. So one thing I love about Exeter City is the guys on the turnstile are always so friendly. So who's hello mate, how are you?
What's the name?
I'm not sure my name's on the list actually.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not coming in it.
I'll let you in anyway.
I'll tell you who I am, mate. I'm Simon Larkins.
Oh yeah, come in.
Look at that, you can't beat the click of a turnstile. Thank you, sir.
No worries.
Right, we're going up this way. Look at that, how imposing is that? Fantastic, isn't it? Semper Fidelis, that badge, absolutely magnificent. And do you know what this feels like? This feels like going into somebody else's stadium for me, because for years, ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, that green stand has been there. I've been a City fan for longer than I care to remember. 73 was my first season, so that's 45 years. That's a long old time, isn't it? But here we are, progress. We all knew the old grandstand had to go sometime. There was always a bit of debate about the start of the season a few years ago. Will it pass its health and safety test? It was always touch and go. Seems a million miles away now. So here we are. This is the main concourse. It looks like, have I missed the champagne? There's a little bit left, but I'm working, so better save one for Fullsy, wherever he is. Not sure where he is today. So you can see it's an absolutely magnificent facility for the fans to come on match day. If we just pan up here, really clever idea, really simple, but really clever. Got some just long posters of some of the legends here. Fancy, of course, just slightly remember. Hatchie was one of my heroes. Player of the Year in 1977, which was the first promotion season that I witnessed. 390 appearances. Absolutely brilliant as a left back. He was so athletic, and with that long, first time I ever saw a long throw. What a player. 6'2", eyes are blue. Jimmy Giles is after you. That iconic City strip, I think that's the around about the cup run kit as well, isn't it? That one, or maybe just before, because Jimmy didn't actually play in the cup run, did he? Graham Rees before my time. This is the kind of stuff that absolutely does it for me. And of course, here we go, two guys in the middle who I remember very, very well. Both of them sadly no longer with us. Adam Stansfield, who the stand is named after. Oh man, this is so emotional. Absolutely brilliant. Tony Kellow. Wonderful, wonderful pictures. And Arnold Mitchell, of course. So going down a bit further, if we just pan around here, we can see some of the interpretation stuff that's on the wall. And I'm guessing what it does, it just works its way up from the history of Exeter City to 1894 all the way up through. I think when the opening speeches were being made, it talked about being a bit of a museum. And you can see here, tribute to the Exec 100 Club and of course the late great Frank Seeley. God rest his soul. What a place this absolutely is. It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? So I think most people know that the club has not had to dip into their pockets for this fantastic resource. It's 100% financed from the sale of the land behind the big bank. It's just absolutely magnificent. Really emotional, as you can tell. I think I only came over to the old grandstand towards the ends. I mainly was in the big bank, then I was in the other side over in the old cowshed. And I think my memories of this stand here, you know, I was thinking on the way here, two main memories. One is I think Lee Holmes' goal from the corner against Liverpool. Great view of that as it was going in. And then, of course, the last game for the old grandstand, Jack Stacey's winner against Carlisle. So it seems a million years ago when you look at this facility, but really fond memories of the old grandstand. But time doesn't stand still, does it? Progress. And what we've got now is a fantastic resource with a great bar. I think where I'm stood now used to be the old tea hut, queuing up, going down those wooden steps. You always worried that the floorboards were rotten and you were going to end up somewhere, but this is just absolutely magnificent. It's absolutely brilliant. And I think obviously on match day at the moment they're showing time loops of the building of the stand. And on match day I'm guessing this is where City supporters will be cheering when the Plymouth Argyle score comes in at 5 o'clock. Always gets a good cheer, that one. And then just panning out here to the camera, to the stand. So going out here. Is this the best place in the world? I think it is. You know, some stadiums you walk into and you feel at home straight away, and this is it for me. What an unbelievable place this is, isn't it? St James's Park, greatest place in the world. A home of football.
To be honest, Kirky, I think Simon Larkins has found his role there, turnstile operator, hasn't he?
Well, he finally got me in, even though my name wasn't down there.
He won't need his spelling there, will he?
That's naughty.
Great little tour. Little tour. You got a little bit emotional there, Kirky.
Oh, mate, first time ever in an interview I got emotional. Well, you know, it's. I knew there was going to be a lot of dust in the air that day, and it's the first time I've seen those banners come down, and to see Stano and Tony Kellow, two of my favourite ever players and people who are like no longer with us. It was it was a moment. But, I'm sure people.
We're all allowed a moment, Kirky, aren't we?
Moment.
We're all allowed a moment. Fair play to you. Great little report, that. Well, whilst you were there as well, one of the invited guests was City legend, I believe one of your favourite players as well.
Love him.
Kirky,
love him. I'm in love with this man.
He's in love with this man. Kirky caught up with Peter Hatch.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, this is an emotional day for me today, but I am so made up because I'm interviewing, and I don't think he knows this, one of my favourite ever Exeter City players. It's Peter Hatch. How chuffed am I to be talking to the great Peter Hatch. Fans that were around in the 70s, Exeter City fans will know this guy as an absolutely solid left back with a throw-in that could probably land a football in Debenhams car park. So, Pete, welcome to Exeter City.
Thank you.
Great day today.
Yeah, it's tremendous. It's to sort of sat on the other side and watched it. As they said, they went through the stages, and you know, and you think, well, how much longer is it going to take? And then, you know, when you came to the next game, you found there's another stage or another two stages had gone on. But I think everybody was apprehensive as to when do we get to the end of it, if you like. And what they've done is, for this club, for this ground, for the supporters, is absolutely brilliant. It really is. It's just, I hope, is that with the way things are going out there on the park, is that this gets filled up. The players, the management deserve the following.
It's looking like a proper football stadium now, isn't it?
Well, it really is. It really is. You know, I must admit, I wish I was 40 years younger. I really do. But no, it's that. I mean, we were lucky in the days. Is that, you know, in the springtime we had flowers on the big bank over there when we were playing. Is that they don't get that anymore.
The iconic primroses. Well, in your
Yeah.
day, you were just saying to me when you joined in '72. So Cowshed would have been over
The
there.
cowshed was there.
The old grandstand was here. The big bank wasn't covered, and there wasn't a way in.
No, that's right. And the supporters club was up on the top there.
What were your memories of that? Decent playing surface or not?
Well, we always thought so. And again, as I was saying to one of the lads earlier, is that no disrespect to anybody, but you know, when you look at that now, it's like your front room carpet, isn't it?
Except it's green.
Yes, and we, you know, we used to sort of think, well, we've got a good playing surface, and it looked good from the side, but when you got on it obviously it wasn't quite so good. But from our point of view, is that yeah, we were quite happy to play on it, and you know, irrespective of what the conditions were. But no, this is unbelievable. It really is, and you know, you sort of sit here and look around and sort of think back to the early 70s, what it was like out there. You know, what it was like is that you know, there's no comparison now. There really isn't. It's that you know, we've sort of gone on to the next generation, well, next two or third set of you know, generation, if you like, and
totally.
and it can hopefully it can only bode well for the club and their future.
I think it must have been a really special moment for you as well, because underneath you have been recognised as one of the players, if you like, with the big sheet coming down, isn't it, from floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
Peter Hatch, 390 games.
390 games, yeah. It's,
I bet it seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
well, I can recollect one or two, you know, one or two of the better ones.
Which ones stand out for you?
Well, obviously the Newcastle game is the highlight of my sort of playing career with Exeter City, even though is that I had, 8-9 years, is that there are one or two great games that stick out in your mind, and obviously that was the one for me. But no, I mean, you know, there's I was lucky that when I left Oxford I came to Exeter City, and I came to play for a manager in John Newman, who instilled confidence in me because my name was on the team sheet from one week to the next, whereas I've been accustomed to being on the team sheet one week to the next in the reserves at my previous club. And this was first team football, and it was like a new lease of life for me. It really was.
So in terms of that cup game, for those younger fans that might not know, what are we talking now? We're talking nearly 38 years ago, aren't we?
Yes, we are. It's 1980-81,
wasn't it? So it's that little quadrant down there, isn't it?
Just that one, just down
which is
there,
obviously famous for Lee Holmes taking the corner. Well, that was your corner, wasn't it?
That was, yeah.
Do you remember much about it?
Well, I know that, well, obviously it was from a corner, and you know, people say, well, do you practice that on the training ground? Yeah, you practice to knock balls in, we'll say, to the angle of the 6-yard box. That's where you're particularly aiming for people to come in. But this one just got a bit more whip on it, and it finished up just underneath the crossbar, and the only place the keeper could put it was in the back of the net. So, you know, I was highly delighted.
Well, I can remember running down 4th Street and getting to my brother's house and watching Sports Night with Harry Carpenter. And it was that man Hatch they kept talking about. You were probably in a club with Tony Kellow somewhere, weren't you?
Yeah, we were down on the quay.
Where?
Everybody was down on the quay. It's wives, girlfriends. We were all down there, and yeah, we were watching the same programme down there, and it was absolutely brilliant. It really was.
And you obviously had the pleasure and privilege of playing with Kells.
Oh, yeah, it's I mean, he might have come from the dockyards, but he was...
Yeah, you're doing it as well, mate. A bit emotional. Legend, wasn't he?
He was somebody special. You know, whether he was on the football pitch, whether he was on the coach, whether he stood up with a mic, he creased me, he cracked me up.
He was brilliant.
But the boy could finish. And he was a damn good goal scorer. He really was. And you know, the goals that he scored for this club is, you know, beggars belief.
It does.
You know, and I'd say he had a spell away, didn't he? Went off to Blackpool.
Yeah.
And had a spell away, but he came back to his stomping
natural
ground,
home ground.
Right, yeah. And then unfortunately, the lad passed away. But you know, sadly, sorely missed.
What a
really
legacy!
is.
What a legacy he left, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In terms of the ground, was there one? Did you like playing in front of the cowshed best, or the old grandstand, or didn't you really mind? 'Cause you used to bomb up and back that wing, didn't you?
Well, I suppose that's all I knew, really.
Yeah.
Is that I just sort of wanted to go out there and just do the best I could on the day, and some days it worked, some days it wasn't quite so good. But I mean, and I always felt that if you're doing your best on the day, and it's seen that you're doing your best on the day, then you'll have support from wherever you're playing, whether it's in front of the grandstand, is the cowshed as it used to be, in front of this stand. It was just a pleasure, a joy to be out there, and it's like I said, it's that the confidence that I got from it by just seeing my name on the team sheet for the next game.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I would do as much as I possibly could on the day to obviously make sure that we came out with a result. And like I said, some days it worked, some days it didn't work. One of the very first few games that I played down here is I remember that I can't remember who it was against, but the guy had gone round the keeper and he'd rolled the ball back to this goal here, and I got there with about 2 foot to spare, and I knocked it away into the big bank over there, and I think then is that people could see that I come here to do a job, and with that, with sort of putting just a little bit more into it to actually get back and clear the ball off the line is that sort of people will sort of sit back and brilliant, but it was just how I was. Is that was my nature, that was my makeup, and as I said, and I can't say it enough, is that John Newman believed in me, and I tried to show that in every way that I could when I was out on the park for him.
And of course, we still see you on match days.
Yes.
I always see you about 2 minutes before half time, trotting up, following Banksy, trying to get the bar before everyone else.
The trouble is I never used to do that. And I used to stay till half time, but I did find that there was quite a queue at the top of at the top there. But it's caught us out just recently, hasn't it? Because is that
is it Stevenage at home recently?
Yes, it was. Is that
Dino, wasn't
it? Yeah. It's he knocked he scored, and we'd already disappeared.
It was only 1-0 as well.
But what caught a few of us that day is the fact that the referee actually stopped the game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's an incident with a fan, wasn't there?
That's right, yeah. It's at the ambulance, because we heard the ambulance down here, and we could hear their klaxon going down here. Well, obviously there was no way he was ever going to get in here, because it was it hadn't even started the construction. But I think he pulled in at the top there, and then even on the big bank is that they were saying, you don't know what you're doing, blow your whistle, and at that point it's that you thought, well, what are they on about? But it was just a case that and God willing, whoever it was, I hope they were all right. But there was a 6 minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Of course. We're going down and thinking there was just a couple of minutes left.
Fair.
Looking at the clock on the board over there, there was about 8 minutes left.
I saw you trotting off. You always follow Banksy. He's always first, isn't he? Is he first? Is he first to the bar?
Giler's normally in.
Is he?
Well, there you go. It's coffee time, but he brings the Kit Kats now.
Oh, okay.
Banksy, yeah. So, but no, it was. As I say, it's just. One of those things is that they've done it for a little while, and I've started to do it because obviously thinking, well, I can get in and get a coffee early, and I can get back out early. But there you go. It's as they say, I've missed a couple of goals maybe, but at the end of the day, as long as the result is in our favour, then that's fine. That's fine.
And you're too modest to talk about a little bit of charity work that you've done with Exeter City recently. You financed those grips going up to the.
Yes, I couldn't imagine in my mind is what it would look like. But I think looking at it, when you look at it here now, and on the other side, I think it's absolutely brilliant because people like ourselves. Me and a few of the other lads, we're not getting any younger, are we? So, and if we're going to have to come down and then go back up again to get to that door at the top over there, then we might need a grip now and again. But no, it is a bit early for me. But I mustn't shout too loud because life can turn around pretty quickly these days. But no, it's it's just nice to see. It looks so fresh as well. It looks so fresh. Is that when you going back to this stand here? Is that when you look at what it was, and I've said it before and time and time again, is that it was just something waiting to happen that's happened further up country.
Yeah.
Is that is that, and you wouldn't want to see it for 1 minute.
Yeah.
You really wouldn't, because you could see sort of clubs going under because of what's happened. Because obviously they wouldn't have catered financially for anything like that, would they?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
But no, as I say, it really is. Looking at what they've got here now, it's it makes you want to come and play at places like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pete, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You've
fine.
given so much pleasure to me and other City fans over the years. It's still great to see you on match day. So hopefully we'll see you in that bar drinking the white wine. Is it all red?
I'm sorry. I'm a tall glass man, not a short glass.
Not a short glass.
No, it is Thatcher's this morning.
Thatcher's, cider boy. Well,
yeah.
great to see you.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Hatchie.
Cheers. All right. Thank you.
Peter Hatch is on the famous 81 club scarf. There you go. Some great players on there, Kirky,
Brilliant.
aren't there? Great
Sparrow,
players.
Pearson, Delve, Lee Roberts. Big fan of the show.
Do you know what? I really love that little group of legends we got at the club, and I think it's different now. That those guys, when they gave up football, they had to go out and get jobs and work for the rest of their careers. Whereas now, you're a multi-millionaire, you've got a pad in LA, you've got a pad in Mallorca. They're not going to be so tight, these players, are they?
And also, I just think this group of players, we still see them, the current group of players, will we see them around Exeter City in 20 or 30 years' time? What was the cup run 81? Well, that was 38 years ago.
Wow, that's a long
time, isn't it?
Anyway, FA Cup this week. Blackpool are in town. We've not played them since Wembley. Obviously, they were promoted. They're not doing too bad. 13th, I think,
about mid-table, aren't they?
Back
Very,
mid-table.
very well.
Yeah, they're doing okay. So it's going to be a tough game, but it is the Cup. We haven't done too bad in the Cup the last couple of seasons, have we?
Cup's been kind to us, hasn't it, over the years? Man United, Liverpool, etc., etc. So I think it depends what team Blackpool are going to put out as well. But you confident?
Yeah, I always am here, especially in the Cup. I think there's a special atmosphere about the FA Cup, and the timing's right. I think the away end's going to be open for this one as well.
Okay.
So that'll be the first time the away end's been open as well since the redevelopment. So we'll have fans on all four sides of the pitch, and that does help. That generates more of an atmosphere. I think, as we talked about earlier in the show, I think it's come just at the right time, this game, for us. Put the league to one side for a moment, and let's concentrate in a one-off game where we all know what the rewards could bring if we play well. And players get up for the FA Cup, don't they?
Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
FA Cup.
Exactly. It's interesting, we've got a bit of a quiz later for Dan Green, and struggle to remember who won the FA Cup. When we were youngsters, it was all about the FA Cup because it was the only live games on telly, wasn't it?
I could recite the FA Cup wins in the 70s and 80s, but it gets to the 90s and 90s. Hopeless.
It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So really looking forward to Saturday and the visit of Blackpool, and again there'll be a big crowd here and a big atmosphere. So bring it on.
Bring it on. Come
Bring it
on. Come
Code
on,
win
City.
through to the next round. Well, thanks ever so much for joining us on Kellow's. Again, we've really enjoyed your company. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've got a new feature which we tested out on Dan Green for this show, and hopefully we'll carry it forward for guests coming up. It's called the Dirty Dozen, and here's the first person to receive the Dirty Dozen, Dan Green. See you next time.
So Dan, are you ready for the Dirty Dozen?
Yeah, we'll give it a go.
Let's give it a go. Right, 12 questions, obviously. First question for you. What is the nickname of Dorchester Town?
The Magpies?
Oh, good start. Up and running. That's good. Who's the current manager of Truro City?
Lee Robinson.
He's on a roll, he's right. Who was Exeter City's manager before Tiz?
Alex Inglethorpe.
3 out of 3.
Hope you keep the score, Kirky.
Arsenal manager before Arsene Wenger?
Bruce Rioch.
Oh, there's no stopping this boy. Right, yeah, it was, mate. Right, a couple of golfing ones for you. Who's the current world number 1?
Justin Rose.
5 out of 5. Where is next year's British Open going to be held? I'm struggling to run out of steam. And
I've got it.
X-Minster.
Yeah.
Pitch and
Is
putt,
it
Norfolk.
not Exeter Golf and Country Club?
It's not, I'm afraid. It is Royal Portrush, wherever that is. Is it in Ireland? Don't know. It doesn't sound like it's a British one, does it? Right, back to football. How many teams are currently unbeaten in the Premier League?
3.
is right. So what's that? That's 6 out of 7 so far. Right, a little bit of politics. Who's the current Vice President of the United States of America?
God, this is making me look very one-dimensional. I actually don't know.
No idea.
No.
Go on, Fullsy. Mike Pence. Well done, mate. Didn't know any of the football ones, but you got that one right, didn't you? Right, 6 out of 8 so far. Bit more politics. Who is the leader of the opposition? Come on, you'll get this. Oh,
Jeremy
Corbyn
I
is
thought you meant
right.
Norwich.
Yeah, no, that would have been a good shout.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Back to football. Who are the current FA Cup holders?
God. It's not Man City, is it?
It's not, mate. It's Chelsea. Eden Hazard with a penalty.
Who did they didn't
beat the Manx,
Arsenal,
didn't they?
Oh,
They beat the
no,
Manx,
that's
I
all right
think.
then.
So 7 out of 10. Coming to the end here. What is the furthest that Exeter City have got in the FA Cup? What's the furthest round that we've reached?
Ever?
Yeah.
I'm going to go a bit. Quarter-final.
He's right. He's right. What's that? 8 out of 11, isn't it, so far? So, last question, and there is a little bonus for you. Last question. Your good old mate, your colleague, Chris Wheel, obviously a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He has scored 1 league goal.
He has, and I know who
You
he's
don't. You don't.
Only because he makes us, every Tuesday, we put it on and we relive the memory for him.
Go on, who was it against?
I'm going to say it was against Hereford.
It was against Hereford.
fair
Mate,
play.
do you know anything about the goal? Or you-
I've watched it. It was a corner. He went
Yeah.
up for it, and did it keep him in League One? Is that right?
I think it said in the article I read they were doomed, so they might. I don't know. So you need to check that one.
I'm pretty sure he said he was something about being the saviour. I'm not sure that was.
Messiah.
I might have. I might have.
In the
Yeah,
94th
something like
minute,
that. Yeah.
Andros Townsend played in that game and missed a penalty.
Oh, there you go. So Chris
There
was
you go.
better than
So
Andros
Chris
Townsend.
was
There you go.
So that's mate. That was absolutely brilliant. I think you got 9 out of 12. Little bonus for you. Who's your favourite uncle?
Oh, come on.
Big clap for Dad.
Rob Edwards, with just his second goal of the season, gives Exeter the lead.